Welcome back, or I should say welcome to the show. Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. I'm here with Rob Trigg of Jet Lending.
What's up?
You asked before the show, what are we going to talk about? And I was like, I don't know, cars, home audio.
You know, I think in some of these higher end places, people need to pay attention to that.
Oh, you absolutely do.
Yeah.
You've got to put in the higher end home speaker systems and all that kind of stuff. And my favorite is, and I don't know how many you guys get into these high. What's the biggest flip? What's the most high end property you guys have lent on like in the last year or so?
I've personally, as loan officer, I think done $1 million home.
Okay.
It's a little bit over $1 million, but you know, and we've talked about this before. The difference between flipping a $200,000 house and flipping a $1 million house, or doing rehab on it it's two totally different things.
Two totally different things. And I also think the difference too is really what's that land value? How much is that value being driven by the land, right? Versus it's $1 million house in Kingwood or something.
Yeah.
You know, but you're absolutely right. It's a totally different ball game, different rehabbers, different. I mean, you just got to take that quality level up to a whole nother level.
Yeah, especially I've been in a lot of $1 million homes in my time, especially, and that's what we were talking about as far as your personal house. There's so many options out there. If people don't know, Sonance has got a beautiful product that, it looks like it sounds like you're at a resort because, you know, you can keep it low or you can jack it up and have a party out there if you want to. So,
which is the intent there at old J Bible HQ. So we're calling it the Vault.
The Vault, yes. But they've got Sonance and Sonos both have awesome products.
Yeah.
There's some people that don't like it because they think that it's designed just to stay internally into that system, but it's not true. Apple works great with it. Any kind of speakers that you want to hook up to it works great. But there's some great systems out there.
I am researching right now because we are slowly getting my personal house done. We're taking our time. That's probably a better way to put it. Yeah. Electrician's over there, and I've got the electrical plan for the whole house audio. And then I'm like, man, maybe I'll just do a whole Sonos system.
They're nice.
They are nice. And what's funny is you start looking at the prices on these things. And you're like, well, let's take. So I've looked at a couple other different whole house audio brands. One actually has, you run them all by your phone, right? Or you can do iPad or whatever.
Yeah.
But this one brand, you can do all that. Plus, they have these LCD panels that go in each one of the rooms, so you can select sources and all that. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, man, I don't think it needs to be that difficult.
No. That's why I chose, in my own personal home, I went with Sonos and Sonance. The speakers are the Sonances, and Sonos system, it's all adaptive. My living room home audio is Sonos. My outdoor speakers are Sonos and Sonance. And, if I want to turn the whole house on, now my wife will never let me get away with this, but if I want to turn the whole house on and have a house party, I could. And it would jam. It would jam. And sometimes I'm there by myself and I'll turn it on, turn everything on, and just be like in and out by the pool or whatever, having a couple drinks or whatever. And she'll come home and she's like, "Turn it down. You're gonna scare the neighbors." I'm like. Hitting my phone, turning it down as quick as possible.
So here's what I'm trying to figure out. In rooms you just want, like your master bedroom, game room, that sort of thing, not the home theater stuff, but just, is 2 speakers enough, or do you need to go with 4?
I'm all about that 5.1 system.
Okay. And you put that in every room?
Right now, in my living room, I have the Arc, Sonos Arc.
Yeah.
I've got 2 of their, what do they call them? The ones, Sonos ones. Yeah. And I've got the subwoofer. So technically it's 1, 2, 3, it's 4 speakers, but the Arc has.
The Arc says,
It acts like, your fronts and your sides.
And your side, yeah.
So I like that. I like the way that sounds. Upstairs in my media room or theater room, whatever you want to call it, that's a 5.2.
Okay.
So it just depends on the sound that you like,
I'm definitely going to do a 5-1 in my living room,
Yeah.
right? Because that's where the TV's at and all that. But I'm also want to put them in just extra speakers in the kitchen, in the garage, and then in the master, and probably in the master bath too. And I was thinking about just putting 2s, because you can buy the Sonos. I don't know what they call it, but it's essentially a little box. It's got an amp in it, and then it just runs 2
Sonos
speakers.
amp.
Yeah, and then just run that in each one of the rooms.
That is a very good way of setting it up. Two speakers per room. That way, and let's just say you want mellow music, and I don't know, part of your house, but you want it jamming in the living room and the kitchen. You can actually select, hey, I want this music's playing here, and I want this music playing over here.
Yeah.
It's very cool how that feature works.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So can you run, a lot of my stuff I run on YouTube. You can run like YouTube stuff through there?
YouTube,
That's
yep.
what I figured. Okay. I was reading through the instructions, and I'm like, man, where is this? I got to talk to somebody that's got one of these, because I try and read through it, and I was trying to figure it all out. But anyway, so yeah, when you get into these higher end homes, I think you got to have that sort of stuff in there, right?
Yeah, you do. You do. I mean, not to say that you have to put it in there as a rehabber, but it's appealing.
It is. Yeah.
If it's already there, hey, that's a selling point.
We've rented a lake house every other weekend between now and like September, and they're new build townhomes, probably 4 or 5 years old. They're all pre-wired.
Yeah.
And you walk in there, you can tell it's like they don't have everything installed, but every room is pre-wired for it.
Yeah.
So I think it's just one of those things. If you're going to do that higher end property, at a minimum, it's all going to be pre-wired for them.
Well, Lennar, it's not. I mean, it's nowhere near. My house is nowhere near $1 million. I mean, it's $500,000. But it came pre-wired, and I was like, well, my wife's like, no more speakers, no more speakers. I mean, I'm like, but she's like, no more speakers.
But it looks so much better to put the speaker there than the little panel, right?
Yeah. So we just did an add-on, and we just got her little home gym completed, and I was like, I'm gonna put 2 speakers in the ceiling. She's like, oh yeah, you touch my gym. I'm like, okay.
You don't want speakers in your
You
gym?
want speakers in your gym?
I mean, come on. She just wear headphones when she's working out.
She just wants to be silent, and she'll read her books or whatever while she's on the treadmill. She's like, no, I don't want it. She's like, and Sonos has got these little portable speakers too. She's like, if I want music, I'll carry one of those up there.
Yeah,
like,
I heard. First time I heard one of those, I was over at Curtis's house, and he had like 2 or 3 of them. He lives in this little bungalow, and I was like, "That's coming out of there." It was crazy how good they sound.
Awesome sound.
Yeah,
like I've got the Move, and I've got the little bitty one. You could put those 2 together. Play. I mean, it's like you got a home theater system.
Yeah, that's cool.
Really cool.
So I'm trying to figure out what the backyard. I love this show. We could talk about stuff other than real estate that's kind of real estate related, but I'm designing the backyard right now, and I've gone back and forth with the guy a million times. And of course, I'm trying to do mid-century modern, so I'm trying to hide a lot of this stuff as much as I can. I'm trying to keep it somewhat kind of period. The house was built in 1960, so I'm trying to keep it kind of period specific, if you will. So it'll be interesting when we get done with it. But anyway, guys, when we get back from the break, we'll talk more with Rob Trigg of Jet Lending's Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Welcome back, Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. I'm here with Rob Trigg of Jet Lending, and we're just talking houses. Maybe we ought to move on to cars. I don't know.
You know what? What I really would like to talk about just a little bit is 30-year non-QM loans.
Ooh, let's talk about them. Those I get all excited.
I do too. I closed 3 last month without even breathing.
Really?
I mean, it was that easy. Huh. I mean, there's this one guy, I can't mention his name, but he's come to me for 3 different deals. I just, boom, pop him out. He's like, Rob, he's like, I don't care what it is. He's like, you just move so efficiently. He's like,
so explain what they need to do for non-QM. These are like low doc loans.
Low doc loans.
So what do you need to be able to do a 30-year non-QM?
Basically a pulse and a credit score.
Uh-oh.
I mean, look, and me and Alex, he really adapted this saying, but I've kind of taken it up. We are not the way to do business. We are a way to do business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially with the non-QM stuff. Everybody's like, oh, well, the rates are down at 3s and 2s. Yes, for your long-term lending, traditional stuff, and you want to go through the hassle of providing a blood sample and, your firstborn child and make sure you write letters for every deposit that was in your account, and that takes forever. if you want to go through that hassle and you're able to, hey, by all means, you're going to get lower rates that way.
Yeah.
But if you want hassle-free, lower doc loans that you can get through with a breeze, all we got to do is order an appraisal, make sure you've got at least a little cash in the bank, to bring to closing if it's a purchase, or B, if it's a refi, make sure you've got at least 6 months of rents in your account. Then we close them, and we close them with ease. People are starting to really figure this non-QM game out. They're like, damn, you can churn them out that quick? And I'm like, yes.
So let's explain. Let me see if I can make non-QM as simple for everybody as possible. It's real asset-based lending for long-term finance, which we've had some version of these for the last couple of years, but in the last year, that stuff kind of got shut down in COVID, where it was starting to get hot. You remember right before COVID,
oh, God, it was so
non-QM was starting to get hot, and all of a sudden COVID hits, and everyone goes, "We're not doing it. We're waiting.
We're done.
We're done right here." And then I had heard through the grapevine that Angel Oak sold a huge package of these things, and this was the rumor I heard on the street. They paid 106%. Oh. So that's what Wall Street is buying non-QM landlord paper at. So I've been talking to these some quote note investors, and they'll say, well, Jason, you understand that landlord paper is going to be the worst paper because of non-payments of rents and moratorium and all that. I'm like, well, Wall Street's paying 106% a par. So you tell me you're smarter than this $1 billion hedge fund that just bought a bunch of this stuff, right? So there's a huge appetite out there for this paper, and you guys are closing them.
Yeah. It is so easy. And of course, you're going to pay a little bit higher rates, 5s, 6s, sometimes 7s. But if it's cash flowing and it gets you into a loan that you don't qualify normally with, traditional lending, let's say your debt to income ratio is too high, or Freddie and Fannie Mae say no more rentals for you, you're cut off. Then come to us. We'll get it closed. It doesn't matter what the interest rate is. You can't get it done any other way.
That's right. That's right.
So come to us. We'll get them closed.
So on that non-QM, what you said, credit score and that sort of. So what kind of? It sounds like 6 months of reserves, and what's your credit got to run?
680 or better. But to be honest with you, to get the best rates, you need to be above 700. Okay. But we can get it done at 680.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 700 credit score and above, and you're pretty good.
Yeah, you're pretty good. 750 and above, even better. You're going to get the best rates possible.
Yeah.
Mid sixes for above 700. Anything below that, you're going to go, a little bit higher, high sixes, maybe even into the 7s. But like I said, you can't get it done any other place. Come to us, we'll get it closed.
How long does it usually take you guys to close one of these things?
About 45 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they got to look at a survey. They're going to order an appraisal, kind of all that stuff.
Yeah. It's the closing time is probably the same as it would be a traditional, because of the biggest thing is appraisals are taking forever right now.
They're ridiculous. Yeah, like we're telling folks 60, and it might be 90 days. Yeah. Just really depend. Well, let me put it this way: for the rural stuff, I'm doing a beach house down in another beach. This one's actually on the beach. It's our first one that's like on the beach, and
I think I saw the picture of it.
Oh, it's ridiculous, man! It's kind of a famous house down there. Yeah. They call it the A-frame. There's a bunch of A-frames down in Surfside.
The blue one, right?
It's like a black and gray.
Black and gray. Yeah.
But there's a bunch of them that actually the ocean is starting to take away on the old side of Surfside. So this is on when you go over the bridge, you take a left, and it's over on the left side. But yeah, it's a really cool place. I've known the owners for a couple years now, and they just randomly. We own the beach house that's kind of across the street and 3 doors down from them, and I've run into them. They're full-time residents down there, so I run into them all the time. And David and Jen are their names. So David was like, hey, just leaves a message on one of my properties. A note says, hey, give this to Jason. I think we're going to sell the A-frame. So he calls me up and says, hey, we're going to sell it. I know how much you love this house. And I said, what are you guys selling for? And they're like, well, we're buying another house, a bigger one. We're going to sell this one and that one. And I was like, no. I was like, okay, great. I'll take it. So we're excited about that one. It's a really cool house.
Yeah, it is. It is very cool. But it's the first one on the beach.
It's the first one on the beach. I like to equate it. It's like a tree house. That's what it's like. Because it's only 600 something square feet, 1.5 bath, that sort of thing. But
that thing on Airbnb all day long.
I'll share with you the Airbnb numbers. They're ridiculous.
Oh, I'm sure.
We do well with our Airbnbs down there, but the ones that are actually on the beach are like a whole nother level.
Oh, I know.
It's crazy.
I know.
So on y'all's non-QM, is it just strictly long-term rentals? Can y'all do short-term Airbnb, that sort of thing, or no?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I could do short-term Airbnb. In fact, I'm doing a lot of those.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, doing a lot of those because I've got one capital partner that will definitely do them. And now Airbnb, not a lot of people have adapted that model yet, and it's slow coming. But
Yeah.
you're going to pay a little bit more on your interest rate because of the fact that it's what they call unsecured.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Airbnb model is going to kill it in, I'd say, less than 5 years.
Oh,
everybody
absolutely.
will adopt it. They have to.
And here's the interesting thing. I read there was a great interview. It's actually in the book. We finished our book. It's almost published, guys. We're getting close. I've got to approve the cover art, and I think we'll be ready to go by next week. But in the book, I included this in there, and that is an interview with the CEO of Airbnb. Mm-hmm. And he said, since Corona, what we found is that most people are taking vacations about 200 miles from where they live. Mm-hmm. So Airbnb as a destination, now would I go and do Airbnbs in Hawaii? Probably not. But would I do them in Galveston and Surfside and in Pirates and all that? Yeah. Would I do them in the Hill Country? Absolutely, because they're within 200 miles of a major metropolitan area. Yeah. So that model starts making a lot of sense. Yeah.
And the numbers, one of our clients, you know who he is. I'm not going to mention his name because I don't want to throw him in. He's got one in, I think, his third ward.
Yeah, yeah.
Third ward, making $15,000, $20,000 a month.
Yeah.
On a duplex.
Yep.
I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Wow. Wow.
It is not hard in a duplex or something like a really nice beach house to move at 7, 8, 10 G's a month.
Oh, yeah.
And then if you're and then people ask me like, well, what are they doing in Third Ward? I'm like, they're there for work stuff. Mm-hmm. Like they're traveling for work.
Yes.
So, and
the hospital's right there.
That's right.
You got the college right there. You got all that stuff right there. So they're either coming, treatment center. Mm-hmm. So there's people that don't want to stay in a hotel. They want to stay someplace that's nice. Maybe got a pool. Mm-hmm. To kind of de-stress. The cancer treatment facilities right down there, and nobody wants to go back to a boring hotel room when they can go stay in a very nice, plush Airbnb, fully furnished, ready to go, and it de-stresses them.
Yeah. So. We get back from the break, we'll talk more with Rob Trigg about non-QM loans, maybe a little Airbnb. It's Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Welcome back, Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network.
Well, we talked about non-QM. I guess it's just time we just start talking about cars. Cause
can you do non-QM lending for cars?
I cannot do non-QM lending for cars. But what I can do is do some hard money loans on some flips so you have enough cash to go buy as many
something.
Cars as you want.
Have you been watching the used car prices lately? Crazy.
I've told my wife, I was like, so I'm a car enthusiast. I love cars. Ford. Everybody knows what's going on with Ford right now.
Yep.
And they're like paying top dollar for used vehicles because they have none.
They've got none.
None, hardly at all. And I've told her, I was like, I think I could probably sell. I've got a dually that I pull my camper with. Mm-hmm. It's parked outside right now. I was thinking about this afternoon, just going by and seeing how much you give me for it?
Yeah.
Just to get rid of it.
I'm getting emails from dealers on my Tundra right now.
Yeah.
And it's 2 years old, 75,000 miles on it. And I'm thinking, because my Cybertruck is right around the corner. Mm-hmm. Like we figured out there's a code that you can kind of figure out where your Cybertruck is in the order process. And I'm under 15,000. So I'll be in that first 6 months. So I'm like, well, do I sell my Tundra now? And then I've got my Type R. I actually drove the Type R. I don't know why. Every time I drive it, it's torrential rains. Like it's the worst car to drive when it's raining because the tires are so slick on it. But I got my Type R, and then I should get my Land Cruiser back this week. And I'm like, do I sell the truck now? Because prices are so high. And then when my Cybertruck gets in, start driving that.
Every time I watch it, I'm just like, what is going on? It's just like, it's crazy. And it's all over social media. It's all over the news and everything. Everybody's talking about the truck shortage, car shortage. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I should just sell everything.
That's right. Yeah. And just wait.
Get top dollar for everything and just pay off all those loans and then just have a daily driver.
I'm in a couple of wholesale car groups, and some of these are really high end. They had a McLaren Speedtail in there that just got sold, 3.7 million, and then they've got stuff down to Corvettes and random, Acura NSXs and that sort of thing. And the crazy thing has been seeing what premium folks are paying for those C8s, because that factory has slowed down a ton. Man. So guys are just paying through the nose for these things.
So sticker on them, 60, 65.
Yeah.
Depending on what options you got, maybe up in the 70s. I think for a base model C8, you're paying 105 out the door.
Oh yeah, these guys get on there and they're advertising, 10,000 miles on them, and they're not that old, right? Like a year, 90 G's, and you're like, holy cow! I'm like,
that's a bargain.
That's a deal. That's what they'd say.
That's a deal right there.
They'd start posting in our group, and they were like, this is a good deal at 90, and it's gone in like 30 seconds.
Yeah, because there's people paying 105 for them. And it's like base model. I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah.
I don't even like them. I'm going to be first one to tell you, I do not like the C8s. I've been a Corvette guy pretty much my whole life. And I got my first one back in 2013. I had it, sold it, big mistake. Now I've got a C7, love it. But I'm not a fan of the C8.
Yeah.
I've sat in them. I've looked at them. It doesn't have a shifter. It's all push button. It's like,
there's no manual. I didn't know that.
There's no manual. It's all push button. I'm like, where's the fun?
Yeah, where's the fun in this thing?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you got paddle shifters. I know we've got to adapt because it's coming anyway.
Right.
To everything because transmissions and all that stuff more efficient.
Yeah.
Got it. I don't like them.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It's like I was chatting with a buddy of ours. I won't mention him on here. We were doing happy hour yesterday. Just happened to show up, and he just got a Lamborghini Gallardo. I think it was a Gallardo, and we were talking about it. And I said, "That's the last manual Lambo, like 2000, circa what, 05, 07? When was the last Gallardo made? A-Rock, you can pull it up real quick. But the last Lambo that was a manual is like 10 years old. The last Ferrari, I think, was a 430. I think you can get a 430 and a stick, which is like 2009. There's a company out of San Antonio now that is doing manual conversions to newer Ferraris. What year is it? 2013 was the last year. So it's like if you want a manual, that's how far back you go. Porsche, thank God, is still making it.
Yeah.
But not in the RS. They're only making them in the GT3s and 911s, that sort of thing.
I know we got to adapt and overcome to all this new stuff that's coming, which is great. Hey, to each their own. I did a post about it.
Yeah.
Just the driving experience to me, it's all about, that physicality of it, So now I've been in the Tesla. I know they accelerate, but when you hear that girth behind you, it's just to me that's the driving experience.
Yeah.
And that's going to be gone in my lifetime and yours.
It's going to be gone in the next couple of years, right? I mean, it's one car I really want to get in and I've not driven yet is the Lotus Elise 260S, which is a supercharged. It's a Toyota motor. It's a supercharged, but there's nothing in that car. It's aluminum, weighs nothing. There's not even carpet in it, right? And it's got this hood scoop that comes across the top. They're only if you go on Auto Trader, there's like 3 for sale in the country, right? But that's one of those cars where everyone says like it's one of the ultimate driving experience. It's a stick, right? Yeah. So when you get away from a stick, you're right. It does kind of takes away a little bit.
Yeah. I think I think the engine, we're all talking about these electrics. Everybody's talking about electric cars and how great they are. And, and it's coming. I know that. I've got to adapt. You've got to adapt. We've all got to adapt to what's coming. But man, there's nothing. And I told my wife, when we get this, it's not going nowhere.
Yeah.
We can get rid of everything else.
That's right.
This is not going nowhere.
Corvette's not going anywhere, lady.
It's not going anywhere.
We're going to stuff the kids in the back somehow, put them in the hatchback, shove them in there. Yeah. I'm shopping pretty hard again, but I just have a hard time looking at the prices. I think last night I got on Auto Trader again. I was just looking at Lambos and a Huracan. I want to say the least expensive Huracan in the United States right now. It was a 2015 at $190. And I'm like, that thing was $155, $160 a year ago. And I'm like, the prices are just getting out of control. So
the prices of everything's getting out of control.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a meat shortage now. I mean, what's up with that?
They got hacked.
I know.
And I heard they paid
why
the
is
ransom.
everybody getting hacked right now?
I know. Well, the Russians have nothing else better to do, right?
Yeah.
But
It's cold over there, so
it is cold. Yeah. It's not a pleasant time of year. One thing I had heard too is, this is the best piece of financial advice I'm giving everybody. They'll ask me a million questions. I was actually at the super investor meeting, and a couple guys grabbed me, and they said, "Hey man, what do you think about X, Y, and Z?" I said, "Well, let's bring it down to brass tacks. Do you own the house you live in?" And they said, "No." And I said, "You need to leave this meeting right now and go buy a single family house to live in."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Are you serious?" I said, "Yeah, because here's the deal. That house is appreciating $5,000 a month. Like you can save $50,000 if you buy your single family house today instead of waiting a year from now." Mm-hmm. So I'm like, buy that, then let's start doing some real estate investing. Like, so let's get our fixed cost for housing now, right? Because you can keep that house forever.
Yeah.
But if you don't own the house you live in, you're losing money every single day.
Grant Cardone, you ever follow him?
Oh yeah,
He will say the exact opposite.
he does, but he also lives in a high rise.
Well,
that's a little bit different, right?
Yeah, well, I know he's got stupid money. He says whatever's left over, he blows it on cars and whatever.
Oh yeah.
Tax write-offs, whatever. But he says something interesting that I thought was very interesting. He said we waste too much money on our own personal house. He's like, rent where you live and take that money you're going to waste on that house and put it in an investment that's going to make you babies.
I would agree with that, but for below $1 million.
Yeah.
So if the next house I buy, actually I probably won't even buy a next house. I'll probably live in some tower somewhere, but I'll rent. $2-3 million house. What's that rent for? $5,000 a month?
6, 7
6
grand.
or 7? Yeah. Rent that. That's why I guarantee you that's why he rents that tower in Florida, because it's way cheaper than paying $5 or $10 million for that thing. Just rent it for $30,000 a month, right?
Yeah.
It's way cheaper. So, all right, we get back from the break. We'll talk more about that. It's Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. It's Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. I'm here with Rob Trigg. We're talking about personal houses now. So
personal houses.
before you head off in the sunset, sell everything.
Yeah, before I head off into the sunset and sell everything, I've told her, I was like, we're going to be completely debt free. Mm-hmm. We're going to sell this house when the kids are gone, and we're going to go buy and pay cash for some acreage and a little, maybe 3-2 house.
Yeah,
1,800 square feet. But it's going to be on acreage, and I'm going to sit on my back porch every day and, drink my water or whatever, coffee, whatever, and I'm just going to look off in the sunset because I don't want any more stress.
There you go.
No more stress.
We got a bunch of guys lately that have bought ranches. In fact, both the guys that are partners with us on this building, one of them bought a ranch, the other one's got one. I think he bought in the last couple of years. And every guy I talk to is like, you got to buy your ranch now. Like, it's getting so expensive.
Oh, yeah. Land is getting just
crazy.
And we're running out of it. My dad always said, there's one thing we ain't going to get any more of. He said, that's land.
That's like,
buy as much as you can.
Yeah. Until Elon figures out Mars, this is all we got.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is all we got. And but yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, it makes a ton of sense. But to go back to what Grant says, like, I don't disagree at a certain price point. But one of the things, like my brother's out in Austin, one of the things I told him is, he's like, man, I think I'm just going to keep renting because prices here are going up and up and up.
Yeah.
And maybe there'll be an opportunity to pick something up inexpensively. And I said, here's the problem. Prices continue to go up. That's putting pressure on landlords to sell property. And then if they sell that property, there's less rentals, rents go up for the remaining properties that are in the marketplace. So I'm like, leasing makes some sense when there's enough supply. But at some point, you got to look around and go, my largest cost is the cost of my household, right? It's the cost of the roof over my head. So how do I fix that cost, at least most of it, over a 30-year period? Let's get a 30-year mortgage on it and buy it, right? Now, taxes and insurance go up, you know that. But the reality is like, man, if you had bought 5 years ago, how much would you have saved in buying that house compared to buying it now? I had one of my cousins one time, we were chatting about this over happy hour, and he said, you know what I realized this week? He said, I can't afford the neighborhood I'm in. Like he said, I couldn't.
Oh, yeah.
He goes, I couldn't buy the same house I've got now if I didn't buy it 5 years ago.
Oh, yeah. I'm in the same category. Like here in a little bit, I mean, of course I can, but there's people in our neighborhood right now that are going to be like, we can't afford to stay here. We've got to go.
Yeah.
Because if I don't sell now, I'm not going to get, max profit. I mean,
Yeah.
you've said this before. Neighborhoods top out eventually.
Oh yeah. They eventually do top out, and then you move on to the next house. But that's how we kind of look at things, and it's like, man, get that first single family house, then you can take. And if you decide, maybe you do decide at some point, I want to live in the beautiful Class A tower somewhere, with Grant Cardone and everybody else. Fine, then sell that single family house. Take your $250,000 in profit and put it in the bank, right? You can take it tax free, and then go in and hang out the next.
Or go buy you a rental.
That's right.
Or
Yeah,
an
go buy
Airbnb.
That's right.
Yeah,
I like it.
and have that make you $15,000-$20,000 a month, especially
Absolutely.
if it's in an area that's, got a hospital or beach or something like that.
I will tell you this. I bought my personal house, this house in Spring Branch, and when I move, I will turn it into an Airbnb because it's unrestricted.
Yeah.
So we can Airbnb, we can do all kinds of stuff there. There's no HOA. So I plan on keeping it's right there by Memorial. You just drive right down Gessner. It's the hospital's there, mall's there, town center's right there. I'm like, I'm going to plan on keeping this thing for as long as I can, right? Yeah. Till the land probably gets to $1 million, and then they just demolish that house and put something else on it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. But at some point, maybe you do sell and you move on to that place in the green pastures.
Yeah, I'm going to the pastures. Everybody can go to their high rises and everything.
There you go.
She's like, "You're crazy." I was like, "No, I'm not."
No,
I was like, "No." She's like, "Well, what would we do with this?" I was like, "We sell it."
Yeah.
She's like, "But we've done all this work to it." I was like, "You're absolutely right, but we sell it."
Yeah.
And we won't have a payment. We won't have anything because what we're going to make off of this is going to pay for our second house.
Yeah.
Or our final house.
Yeah.
Like retirement, whatever you want to call it. She's like, "You've got this all figured out." I was like, "No, I don't have it all."
Yeah, of course. Of course, babe. Yeah, I got it all figured out.
I do. And I've told her, I was like, if you'll just trust me, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
So she relaxed a little bit.
Yeah, and then in the back of your mind, you're like, how am I going to pull this off? I'll figure. That's a little dirty secret, right? It's
How
like,
am I going to pull this
how am I going to pull this off?
I've got her convinced right now. I must be doing something right.
No, that's right. It's all confidence at this point, right? It's all a confidence game.
That's it.
How are we going to do X, Y, and Z? I'll figure it out.
Don't worry about it.
How am I going to do that exactly? Maybe how much time do we have left? Got a couple minutes left. This is the last segment, isn't it?
Hey, you're coming on my show tomorrow.
I'll be on your show tomorrow.
Yeah.
So if you guys go to jetlending.com or you go to the Jet Lending YouTube page.
Yeah, well, and there is a Trigger Points podcast YouTube page as well.
How many episodes have you done? 3 or 4 now?
Done. You'll be number 3.
Okay, excellent.
You'll be number 3.
Who was on number 1?
Ehab.
And then Eddie, I think,
Eddie
was on number 2.
last week.
Okay.
And then you're tomorrow. And to be honest with you, I think I don't know who I'm going to get for next week. I'm kind of planning it week by week right now. And Alex is like, you got to sit down and you got to plan this out because you're going to catch somebody that said, no, I can't do it.
Yeah. You know what's funny? You're catching all the full-time real estate guys on Fridays. And so we're like, yeah, we totally do that.
Yeah. So it's from 10 to 11. I've had some great responses out of it so far.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we just get on there. Eddie was talking about, a large number of things. If y'all missed that episode, you can go on the YouTube channel. It's on Jet Lending's or the actual Trigger Points podcast channel on YouTube. But the best one that I've done was Ehab's. I mean, he talks about all kinds of stuff about his mentoring program and everything. So, if y'all ever need access to that, y'all know how to reach out to us.
I was chatting with him at his event. I need to follow back up with him, but interesting dude to say the least.
He is.
So yeah, I'll be on the show tomorrow, and then I've got the fish fry at down at that bar there in Spring Branch. So if you guys want to stop by and hang out there, you've been there once or twice, I think.
Yeah, I've been there.
That thing is getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah?
I can't remember if it was the last one you were at. Were you at the last one or the one before that? I think you were the one before that.
Was it April? I think it was April.
Yeah, this last.
Or it might have been early part of May. I
it's
can't
the
remember.
first. It's always the first Friday.
Okay.
So, but anyways, the last one we had like 50 guys there.
Yeah.
And then the next time I was at that bar, I was there. I don't know, a week later. Mm-hmm. Because it's right there by my house. When I go check on the house, then I'll usually meet a couple people there and we'll hang out.
Yeah.
And so they're all starting to get to know my name and all that. And he said, hey, the guy, kind of manager over there goes, hey, Jason, we went ahead and put your event on our calendar to know that a bunch of your guys are going to show up. I was like, I didn't even think about that. And they said, yeah, last time we were kind of like, Hey, where'd all these 40, because it's a small place,
Yeah.
right? Like 40 people just show up, and they're like, hey, we're here to drink beer with real estate investors. And so anyways, it's a good little
I like that little place.
It's a cool place.
Yeah. When I get a cheat day, I'll probably have to, if anybody doesn't know, I've been on my diet for 4 months and I have not had one cheat day.
Really? Look at you, man.
Not one cheat day.
Speaking of which, this is kind of what I want to talk about. So Dr. Grant has got me dialed in.
I told
dude.
you.
Dialed in.
I'm telling you. It is
Like,
amazing.
I felt amazing before. Now it's just ridiculous.
It is.
It's ridiculous.
Guys, if y'all don't know what we're talking about TRT, testosterone replacement therapy.
We're going to do a whole show. We're going to do a whole show on this at some point.
Yeah, we need to.
And we can probably get Dr. Grant on. He's a super busy dude, but it's I've referred a bunch of guys to him, and it is pretty amazing. So he is up my dose, and I'm every 3.5 days. So I'm like Monday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Friday. Kind of just depends. But yeah, I'm doing fantastic. It's great.
Dude, I looked myself in the mirror at the gym, and since I have been with him, and I was like, I'm in better shape than I was when I was in the military. And look, I was in dead-gum good shape for 21 years. And I'm like, I'm faster, I'm stronger, I'm able to bench more. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, I keep texting, man, thanks. He's like, you did it. Like, all I did was just switch up your dose.
Well, this is week 3 of the new protocol, and I was looking at myself in the mirror yesterday, and I was like, "This is
it just falls off."
And I'm not even consistent yet, and I'm like, I can't. Like, I've got this big canoe trip for a week and a half next week with the Boy Scouts. We're going up to Canada and all that. Anyway, so when I get back, then I'm really going to dial up the routine. I got a photo shoot in July, so we're going to do a whole photo shoot. It's going to be pretty interesting. But anyway, so jetlending.com.
Yeah, you can call me at 903-806-4400 or jetteam1@jetlending.com or my personal email, rob@jetlending.com.
Thanks for being on the show, and I'll
see you tomorrow.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks.